if you haven't heard, I recently launched a Patreon with 6 different tiers of support, including gameplay analysis, video commissions, and coaching. So please go check it out. Also, don't forget to use the code plugin at unfunstuff.com to save 5% off your order. And if you've got new players signing up for the UGN, my referral code is ACE. Please don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. All these are great ways to help support the channel, and I really appreciate it. Every little bit really does help when it comes to the YouTube game. So thank you very much for your support, and thank you to my patrons for making this video possible. Enjoy the video, guys.
What a maneuver!
I am joined by your Orlando regional winner, Cristos Panos. Hopefully I pronounced that correctly. Thank you for joining me, Cristos.
It's a pleasure.
Now, I said it on commentary, and at least it's how I feel, but I feel like you shocked the world this weekend playing Ochako 2, and you definitely talked about it in the winner's interview, but I want to get, the first thing I want to ask you is, how are you feeling now that you're like a week removed from it? How do you feel about the whole weekend right now?
So the main objective was to get my Nats invite.
Okay.
So it doesn't feel real that I won. It feels like I could wake up any day, but because we didn't expect to. Me and my brother just wanted to go and have fun, and I think no one was expecting that. Not even top 16.
Okay.
So it feels great.
Awesome. I'm glad to hear that, because at the end of the day, that's kind of what it's about, right? It's about having fun. It's about enjoying your time that you spend with your friends, your family, your community, and all that good stuff. So I'm really excited that you had a bunch of fun, but I want to talk about your whole run a little bit later. I think we should jump into the hottest topic in the community right now, because you probably have a very unique opinion on the most recent ban list announcement. They happened to announce it like hours before the podcast, and you're somebody who played a deck that is not on anyone's hit list, right? No one was really complaining about it. No one was really worried about Ochako 2. So I'm very curious as to how you feel about the format that you played in, and then now this ban list that hits 2 cards.
I'm so happy they took out Ready Set Go. I do not like that card. That's just an unfun card, and for no reason it has a 1 high block. So I don't like the high block. And this might be a hot take, but I think the Odro ban was a little overkill.
Okay.
I think it would have been perfectly fine if the plus or minus speed. I think there was no reason to do commit. I feel like that kind of just ruins it. I feel like everyone pointed the finger at Odro 2, but didn't see the problem with Earth. I think one with nature should be unique. You shouldn't be able to just jam 4 of those. I think seizing the advantage should be cost remove or build it committed, because Earth should not have that much speed. That's the biggest thing. Because I came from the Kirishima meta during Nationals in Dallas. I was there.
Yep. And
I think Kirishima 2 was a much bigger problem than Odro because of the Earth. And then next set, it's going to be... I know why they didn't touch Earth, because next set, Red Riot's going to be here.
Oh, Red Riot is like
Kirishima 3.
Yeah, it's his hero name, right? His like pro hero name.
Yeah, so I think Kirishima 3 is going to be an issue. Probably impossible to take out.
Do you think he's going to have water? Because my thing is, I think Kirishima 3 is going to have the water symbol, and it's going to be like by far the best Kirishima they've ever printed.
I mean, that would be cool to see him have water. But he's definitely going to have Earth.
Yeah, give him like so manly symbols.
So yeah, that's my thoughts on the ban list.
Yeah, it's so interesting because I've had multiple people say who was asking for a Ready Get Set Go ban, and it's like people were asking about that before the craze of Ojiro 2, and it's always been kind of this nuisance card, but it got pushed to the side because it's primarily a defensive going second kind of a card, and people really want to get rid of the advantage to going second, right? They want to deal with that, and so I thought that was kind of interesting in general, but you know, to hear you talk about it, it's like, oh yeah, that card is kind of an issue. I of course had Ready Get Set Go on my watch list, but my watch list was insanely big and unrealistically big. I wasn't expecting that. I do agree. They hit Ojiro just maybe a little too hard. I thought you could have done one of the two changes, and it would just put him at a relative... Like, if you're not going to hit anything else, these are the only two cards you're going to hit, I feel like they overdid it. Because if you're not going to hit Jiro or Momo, or... Because Momo still just blocks everything, man. Like, I know you navigated the Nathan DeWalt matchup, but, like, it gatekeeps pretty much any deck that doesn't add speed. Would you say that that's true?
I agree wholeheartedly.
You know, Momo, if you can't play 4 attacks in a turn, minimum, and add speed to your attacks at all, Momo is going to have absolutely no problems dealing with you, and God forbid if you don't have any stun, you know? So, I mean, do you think the ban list was the right size? Were you looking for more cards to get hit?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I wanted them to touch the Earth symbol.
Yeah, the Earth symbol.
But it's okay.
I think the player base at large isn't talking about it, but I know content creators have made plenty of content, and I know quite a few different people who have the mindset that the core issue is the Earth symbol. The core issue is that the Earth symbol has more staples on its symbol than any other symbol, except maybe air, but air hasn't gotten anything since set 1. The Jiro decks that are top cutting are the same Jiro decks. There's 99% set 1 cards. And sometimes they play Ready, Get, Set, Go as their only non-set 1 card. So you look at Earth and it's every attack ramps. Every attack draws a card. And if it doesn't do that, it does more damage than any other attack at its difficulty.
Yeah, I heard some people wanting Back Alley to get banned, but I like Back Alley.
I think Back Alley is close. Like, Back Alley is a cool sounding card. The issue with Back Alley is that defending against it is ridiculously tough, and its card quality at any given point in the game is really good. So, if we had a world where every attack, or almost every attack, felt good to play it by itself on any turn, I could agree with that. But as of right now, it just makes every deck on its symbol too consistent, I feel. And the only decks that don't play it are sometimes good symbol weapon combo decks, like Staff Strike deck. I think I even see, like, the life symbol, you know, Staff Strike decks end up playing it. But so, if you could ban one other card, just one, you had to pick one card to add to the two, what's the one card, or errata, right? Like, what's the one card you would hit?
I'll throw in a few considerations, and then I'll put in my number 1. So you can consider chivalrous competitor.
That's my pick. I'd pick chivalrous. Let me flip your shit finally. Like,
yeah, because that with one with nature, you could draw somewhat, probably one with nature.
Yeah.
Just make it unique.
Yeah, one with nature's pretty close. The only reason I would hit chivalrous over one with nature is, well, see, I guess maybe not, because I'd also have to hit saving Bakugo. Because my biggest pet peeve personally is when a symbol does something, but it also protects itself from that thing. So the fact that the Earth symbol flips my foundations, and it's also the only symbol that feels relatively safe from having its foundations flipped, bothers me a lot.
Yeah, so it's saving Bakugo, that's on the Earth symbol.
Yeah.
Yeah, it shouldn't have 2 flip hate.
Like, you now have Chaos has 2 and Earth has 2. Although Chaos doesn't flip your stuff, so, like, I'm fine with the Chaos part, right? But it's actually toxic as fuck. It's cool. It's a cool thing if the power level was higher. Like, if we were just saying, fine, fuck it, balls to the wall, play standard universes from 2020 again, like, I would be fine with having a combo like Chivalrous and saving Bakugo. Because if you try to flip one of my foundations, I can flip Chivalrous instead, and then I can flip Saving Bakugo to draw a card for no fucking reason, and then unflip Chivalrous. Like, what the fuck is that?
Oh yeah, seizing the advantage. I would have rather that.
Yeah, like seizing the advantage existed in standard for a while and was power creeped. And so they brought it back stronger. They brought it back with +2 speed. It used to not give +2 speed. So it is pretty wild. I would definitely touch the Earth symbol more. You know, is there a character that you would hit if you had to pick only from characters? What's the one that you think is like the biggest issue right now?
You could say I'm biased, but maybe Eraserhead.
Okay, no, that's a good answer.
I feel like he gets stronger each set.
Yeah, no, definitely. He's so good on paper, and I think the issue is when he does win, I think it's a non-game. I think when he does win, he just erased you every attack. He hits you with a bunch of extra speed moves, and you just feel like you're waiting for him to slowly pepper you to death with the little dinks and little setups, and then usually there's like a momentum payoff, right? Like burst, or now we're seeing like the all symbol version play like hard uppercut and like punches. So I think when Eraserhead's doing good, it's not good for the game, and we're lucky that the game is so just toxic towards 7-handers and the symbols don't have like great like finishing moves that we're kind of safe from Eraserhead. But I definitely agree with that. Let's move on to, I want to talk a little bit and get to know you a little bit better, because I don't know how many people, you know, are familiar with you from the community, but how long have you been playing card games in general? Like, when did you find your love for card games?
Let's say maybe 2.5 years.
Ooh.
So I started off with Dragon Ball.
Okay.
Instantly fell in love. But it was sort of a pay to win. And it was fun, but ever since I tried the demo decks, I've just been in love with My Hero.
Interesting.
And then the events and all the support and like the huge community. Like, it wasn't really, yeah.
That's super funny to me. Recently, I heard someone talking about like the way that, I just lost it. Someone was recently talking to me like about the way that the pricing for Dragon Ball Z, or I guess is it Dragon Ball Super or the Dragon Ball Z game? The chat's asking.
It's Super.
Okay, yeah. I assumed by the time frame you were talking about Super, because the Z, like Panini revived the Z game and it died like years ago. But someone was complaining or talking about really the way that the pricing for like the promos and like, you know, which cards were powerful in Dragon Ball Super. And someone replied, Dragon Ball Super was like never that expensive, but they had stopped playing about 2 years ago. And someone had to explain to them, like, you know, no, you have all these mechanically unique promos, and like deck lists were kind of rigid, and they were kind of telling you like how to play the game and stuff like that. So it's very interesting that you basically had the same experiences as them. Were you surprised to find out that the community was like as welcoming as it is, or has it been? I guess I should say, like, what has been your experience with the Universe's community at large?
It feels so weird because it's so official for a card game. Like, I was not in like all the webcam events, and the way you guys commentate, it sounds like I'm watching like ESPN or something. It just
does not feel that way. It feels pretty jank, to be honest. Well, is that different? Did you used to watch like DBS events? Is it different from DBS events?
Yeah, because there's so much like back and forth interaction in this game, and other card games just aren't like that.
Yeah, it's kind of interesting. I recently was watching a DBS event on Twitch last night, and I couldn't even tell if it was like the official stream or not. You know, it's on like a content creator's Twitch account, but I've known them to do official events before, right? And I couldn't tell if it was official or not, and the commentary just kind of seemed like they were waiting for an attack to happen. You know, they're just kind of like, he's going to energy. I don't know what's in his hand. Everything he's going to do really depends on his hand. And then, you know, and I'm not throwing shade at them. Like, I don't know their game. This could just be the commentary that, you know, you have to do. Like, because a lot of that game, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, but a lot of that game really happens during the attack step with comboing. And so,
Correct.
yeah, and so they're basically kind of waiting for attacks and like combos to happen to kind of reveal like what resources people are willing to use and things like that. But both players just had like 10 cards in their hand the whole time. You know, the one, they would like play one card a turn and then just attack, and then it was deciding like who's willing to discard more cards basically. And they didn't leave a good opportunity for the people doing commentary to really talk about the game, I felt like.
Yeah, like Jasco, like in like just the events. Like I go to a Jasco event, and, like it's insane. Like there's like all these huge like My Hero posters I've never seen before, new artwork. And just like it's awesome.
That's very cool. I'm glad you're having fun at these events. And I'm glad that, you know, the community has been welcoming. And so when it came to... how long have you been playing the My Hero card game, I guess, is a good question.
Yeah, so I've been playing before it came out. When the demo decks, Bakugo versus Midoriya.
Okay. When set 1 dropped, what was like your favorite character to play? Or do you have like a favorite character from the anime, I guess? Are you like a fan of the show?
So one at a time, Todoroki.
Okay.
He's my favorite. And then
Like
I was in love with Momo.
Okay.
I just which is kind of ironic, but
Yeah,
I love good Momo. I just love from the first packs I got, I just kept pulling Staff Strikes.
Oh, okay. That makes sense. Staff Strike is a pretty sick card.
So ever since, I played Momo. I was like at my locals, I was known as a Momo main. And
okay.
I played all like the first provisional. I was always there. I was a little jealous of Nate. he became the Momo. And
no, this is a revenge story. This is a jealousy villain arc. Oh no.
A little bit, and then
that's so funny.
So when I was so hurt when Unwavering got touched, and that's when I really switched off the character and took a little break.
Yeah, I thought the Unwavering thing was going to hit Momo a little bit harder, but then Cannon Blast came around, and the game just kind of like the tempo, the speed of the game really switched, right? It really changed at like what speeds you can play the game. Talk to me a lot about how did Ochako 2 come around? How did we land on Ochako 2 for this set 4 environment?
The Fury package. The Fury package I feel is broken. That's about it.
So
and I didn't want to get turn 2'd, so I knew 33 health, guaranteed block, and I could just clap back.
Okay. So do you feel like Ochako 2 is the best user of the Fury package?
Yeah, I'd say so.
Yeah. Why do you think that Ochako 2 uses it better than maybe, say, like a Bakugo 1 or even a Bakugo 2? Because a big part of your game plan was those Howitzer Impact Cyclones, which is a really powerful combo attack.
So Bakugo 1, he does get damage, which is a big problem with Ochako. Nitro is insane because every card gets discarded. Bakugo, I would just say just a speed, 2 speed on everything, and then you have the response too, and the speed guarantees you get a response.
Yeah, that I think right now we're at a place where all the best decks are putting speed on something, right? They're putting speed, or they're finding one with nature, or they're really good at finding snack time, but usually they're doing both. And when it comes to a 5-hand size, it's really important that your moves just hit, because how many times have you seen a 4th kind lose because they play 1.3 million volts and you can just block it on a 5, nothing ready, right?
Speed is so important in this game. That's why Earth shouldn't have all the speed that it does.
That's why Earth deserves no speed pump. You heard it here first. Yes. Earth deserves no speed pump. I would say overall, speed is almost twice as relevant as damage is. Obviously, once you get to like crazy damage numbers, right? Like speed has a faster diminishing returns, based on your rival's stage, but they can only check so high. They can only check a 6. So once you get to the point where they can't, block anymore, then it drops off pretty hard. But +2 damage, not as relevant as making a move unblockable. Would you agree with that?
Of course. If the move doesn't hit, then the damage doesn't matter.
Okay. So let's talk about the Fury package then, and specifically in Ochako 2, because you mentioned you want to have that extra life total, right? Ochako 2, one of the best users of learning the standards, which was all over that tournament, and having the defensive trick with -3 speed and then to use Spooky so you don't even have to block is like one of my favorite things, right? Just switch the speed and damage to stay alive. But how did you come across these ratios? Was there ever, how long did you work on the attack lineup? Because when I was trying the deck on stream yesterday, it felt so good. It felt so consistent. I drew so many attacks and I could pass them. I was amazed at my checking and drawing throughout most of the night, even on the matches I lost.
So I knew I had to stay consistent with the Fury package. I wanted to play the Toga attack, lose 3, go to momentum, but it wasn't a Fury.
I was telling people before I played it that I still don't know how I feel about it overall, but I was definitely telling some people that I think the deck is better if you just jam dual needle lunge in, but I'm not 100% sure.
Yeah, only because of stun grenade, and if you brick off that, that's the game.
Does feel bad to brick off that. The other reason why I don't think dual needle lunge is maybe the answer, even though it gives you momentum for impact cyclones and so many different powerful and EX moves. The thing that I realized while playing, and the thing that I actually realized through the middle of game 1 between you and Nathan DeWalt, was that dual needle lunge tells the rival they don't need to block it. It tells them that even if they block it, it's just 5 damage, it's going to go to momentum, it's going to clear the card pool, it's going to do all these things for just 5 damage. And you mentioned damage pump is kind of where the deck falters, right? And so they can easily just take the 5 damage move with no condition, that doesn't change if they block it. Whereas every other move, every attack that you're playing in this deck is basically telling the rival that they really, really want to block this attack because it's going to come back to your hand and then be played again essentially for free. And so, while I did think that initially, now that I've actually played the deck, I'm not so sure why this is relevant. The thing that I want to ask you about is, and it makes so much sense now that you mentioned you played a Punch of Momo, is when you found out that you were playing against Momo in the grand finals, what was your basic game plan? Was there anything that you knew you'd have to change about the way you play the deck going into that matchup?
I just knew I had to apply a lot of pressure early because she hates that. I knew she couldn't kill me on turn 2 or 3.
Mm-hmm.
I knew it was gonna turn to her, so I figured I just gotta cripple her, get something in. So turn 3, I can just hit her once, get her stunned out, hit her once, and then pick it up, then play something to just destroy her.
Yeah, the lines were really interesting. I saw there's a handful of times where I was surprised that you didn't use the Ochako response the second you dealt damage, and it's just from my experience, which is very little playing against Ochako 2s and as Ochako 2, that you kind of just don't care, right? You just want to pick up and play and get that guaranteed bonus, but you were able to navigate your staging area and where Nathan was at as far as resources going to be able to confidently play moves on an 8 or on a 9, and then be able to use the response there. So is there any tips or tricks you can give us to like how these the combos in the deck work, or like better ways to apply pressure? Because I think most of the time people are just going to respond as soon as they deal damage and want to get that bonus and that extra attack back, but you seem to really make it count.
Yeah, so like the first attack or two, it's always bait. It's not what I want to pick up. I'm forcing the block.
Oh, okay.
So like, if I have like I'll play like maybe like a nitro, another attack, and then I'm not gonna remove because I need the response from nitro. So let's say I have those 2 attacks in my card pool, 2 foundation in my character. My next, I could have picked up any of those, but the next one's on a 6. If I check a 3, I have to tap my character, but I'm going for it anyways.
Yeah,
it's kind of insane because like that kind of, if it doesn't check, it ruins everything. But if it goes through, then you're golden.
Yeah, there was definitely quite a few times where you were not even getting to use the response because Nathan was able to block so much that you had to tap completely out. You had to commit everything out, and it still worked because usually it was an impact cyclone for like 9+ damage, which was enough to chunk away at Momo. So that's really interesting, right? Because like the idea that the first ones are bait makes so much sense, but when the bait is something as good as Turn to Dust, or the bait is something like Stun Grenade, it's like, oh my goodness, this is like, you can't afford to get stunned 4. You can't afford to eat stun 3 and you get to draw 2 cards from Stun Grenade. But then what's the most important attack in this deck? Like, what is basically your favorite attack to use the response on?
Say Stun Grenade. It makes the deck too consistent. Cyclone. Those 2.
I can definitely agree with Stun Grenade. That's the one I always want to block the most. That's the one I always want to hit the most on both sides. And then, yeah, Impact Cyclone. That was really, I think, the sauce that made it come together, because in the little bit of games I played, I just keep referencing it that just because that's like the most experience I've had recently with it. And I want to illustrate the fact that you have put the time in on this deck. This is not a deck that someone can just pick up and immediately like understand and just play all the orange cards in order. It's the kind of thing where navigating where do I really need to put these specific attacks, because eating a Breaker 1 from Quick Creation early on in a turn doesn't feel good at all, especially if you don't have first day of class, And I was disregarding. I didn't realize like how important cards like first day of class and Battle Arena were to the matchup. I was mulliganing Battle Arenas away, and then by like the second matchup where I finally played a Battle Arena, I was like, oh, I can make the same plays Cristos was making now. Like my brain unlocked, and I was like, oh, now I can go for it like on a 7 and an 8 because I prioritized different cards. So when it came to like the different combos and things like that, like it really mattered where I decided to play stuff. I wasn't just playing it like in highest difficulty to lowest difficulty order or things like that. I do want to ask you, how afraid of Faith Shield were you? Because I got pretty tilted. Every single time I played a Nitro Ignition, my opponent was able to block with a Faith Shield, and I never once ever got like anything out of it.
Faith Shield is like the kryptonite to my deck. Faith Shield, because my brother plays on water. 4x Faith Shield, 4x Wall Cling. Plus Ultras. Plus Ultra is huge against me.
Yeah, definitely. I got tilted because it was actually like 4 games in a row. Like no matter what turn number it was, no matter how many Faith Shields he had removed, he just always had another Faith Shield, and it was so annoying. And it made it feel like this like it made it feel like I had no option. Like I had no way to play around it. Right, it comes just directly from the hand. And then you don't get to get the response. You can't remove it from the card pool. It's just relatively a dead card. When if you don't have Faith Shield, I feel like Nitro Ignition is the attack that you let Ochako 2 hit you with. Would you agree with that? It's like the attack you're least likely to respond and pick back up, and it's maybe the least impactful move.
Yeah, there's no way you block a 7 high when you know I have Cyclones, when you know I have... I'm just trying to get the high attacks out of their hand so I can just whack them.
Right. Yeah, so like I was super down to have people block it with a Scarlet, with a Rising Starlet, I should say. And yet every time it was always blocked by a Faith Shield, or once or twice I think it might have actually had its damage reduced to 0 by Quick Creation, but we're not here for that, right? We're here for the momentum generation from things leaving the card pool. But let's talk about let's talk about the player matchup, because, you know, I don't know you super well. We've never played in a tournament, but I helped Nathan DeWalt playtest that deck. I helped him jam games, and we practiced never a 5-hand size matchup. You know, I think maybe we practiced the 4th kind matchup, but I don't know if he ever practiced the Ochako 2 matchup. And, you know, on paper going into this, I felt like it was very Momo favored. And having played it with no experience, it seems very easy for Momo if the Ochako 2 player doesn't recognize, you know, which attacks matter the most, I guess is the best way to put it, which ones to use for bait and how to sequence that. And when it comes to Nathan DeWalt, I would say that not to expose his playstyle or anything, and it's a legitimate strategy, but he is addicted to blocking everything. He is obsessed with taking absolutely no damage. And in my head, I thought, this is really good for him because Ochako 2 is a character that essentially makes you play like that. Would you agree that like people are obsessed with blocking your first attacks 99% of the time, anytime that they can?
Yes, I agree. I think Nate was trying to have like a perfect game against me, and that's what came back to haunt him. Some attacks where he knew I didn't want to pick it up, he should have let it just go through because he could heal with Rising Starlet. Right.
There was I think he blocked Nitro Ignitions, right? He was like actually fighting for speed over the Nitro Ignitions, and it was the one where it's the smallest damage. It actually doesn't do anything when you play it. You know, it has basically no enhance. And, you know, it was halfway through game 1 when that was happening, and I was seeing like how consistent your deck was pulling attacks and like holding attacks for the next turn, which is like a huge part of Ochako 2 a lot of the time is, you know, tap out if you have to, get the damage in when you can, but if you have an attack ready for next turn from Stun Grenade or whatever, like that's huge. And I was halfway through, I could tell from your play, I'm like, you are so used to people blocking your first 2 attacks. You are so used to people doing everything they can to block every single attack that you play, you know, that your sequencing is already prepared for that. And I is that something that you felt? Can you comment on that if that's how you felt playing the matchup?
Yeah, exactly. I know I came prepared knowing that my first 2 attacks were not going to hit. So just save the good one for when it's going to hit. Yeah,
that is, you know, it's so crazy because we see you mentioned Eraserhead, right? It's super rough and that has characteristically been like a character that Ochako 2s are afraid of, and then they sideboard that character in case of that matchup and stuff like that. And so Momo is in very much the same way, right? She -2 speeds on everything. She plays around stun pretty well. And she even has a little bit of an answer to like Foundation Destruction, which is how old school Ochakos used to work, is they used to play like Merciless Rush and stuff like that. But you were just so good at navigating every turn where Nathan was like down to block every single thing, and it seemed like you always just had another haymaker, right? And you know, the mindset that I never have to take any damage just seemed like something you were prepared for. So I thought that was amazing, and it makes sense now that you mentioned you were a Momo player. That makes too much sense.
I'm so used to with my brother. He loves playing the most defensive deck possible, where he just builds this huge wall. So whenever we play, I'm just fighting against this wall. So I kind of Yeah, and a lot of like the Odro players don't have a wall, so it's just easy.
Yeah, it's most of the time. It's most of the time. It's so funny. It's most of the time people are complaining about wall decks, right? And they're struggling to actually play the game against a wall deck, and then as soon as we get into a tournament, we usually see the wall deck get splatted. It usually a wall deck gets to win like a couple tournaments, and then people figure out like Gamer Toga, people figured out Flash Giro for the early wall decks. And now, would you say that Ochako 2 is a good wall breaker deck?
I would think so.
Well, let's. I want to ask you about. I got the chat asking me about it too. I was going to ask about Go for the Win because I made so many mistakes. I'll just be honest with you. The first couple games, I was like, "Oh, Go for the Win." Momo reduced my speed. At one point, I had 2 in my hand, and I did it like 2 of them on a Hulking Grimace. I had like an 11 speed Hulking Grimace, and I felt so good about this play, right? And the Momo was like, all right, I'll just block with a +2 mid on a 13, check a 5, commit 6 of my 7 foundations, and I felt so stupid. I felt actually so dumb. Like the breaker one stopped me from playing another attack.
I think the only way I'd be down to respond is maybe if I had a Forcing Surrender in my card pool.
Ooh, okay. That is also in the main board. Also really relevant in that matchup, right? Something that you had to know going into it was going to be something that helps you against Momo, and we did see it. We did see it come into play where you kick some stuff out of the card pool. So,
yeah, Forcing Surrender almost never sees any use, but against Momo, it's like, and Fourth Kind, it was just probably one of the most important foundation I had, I'd say.
That's true. Fourth Kind, it's really funny. Fourth Kind wants to go attack, build, attack, and you're like, actually, you get to just build one of those, and I think that is super funny.
Yeah, I was forcing him to not play a 4th attack, just play 2 attacks and then build out. So that was huge.
Yeah, definitely. You see very, very cool stuff. Very, very wonderful plays. I love to see like all the different combinations you put together, all the different sequencing that you had. Talking about Go for the Win, it was so weird. It took me like 3 whole games to just go, okay, it's actually not about the speed in this matchup, and clogging my card pool like doesn't help. And so like getting those extra resources to get like the super, super deep turns was a big deal. Knowing go ahead.
It was never about the speed. Because people really underestimate me when I have like a 2 build or 3 build. They can't see the Go for the Win. They think they're going to be tapped out, so then they full block the attacks, and then I just go for the win. I just keep going. So it really throws people off guard. And then I draw it usually off a Cyclone or something like that.
Yeah, I'll be real with you. When I first saw Go for the Win, I was like struggling to not sound the alarms like this is a busted card. And for what it's worth, it hasn't turned out to be like a super busted, super abusable card. But similar to like Dual Needle Lunge, when you play it, it feels so good. When it's actually doing its job, it feels amazing. And when I first saw it, I was like, this is going to kill people by accident with +2 speed, which was a lot stronger when it was debuted before Momo was being played everywhere. And then it plays around learning the standards, which was like a powerful, defensive trick from that same set. It has a +1 low block. Like, it's just statted incredibly well. And so it
plays around Breaker, which is huge.
Yep, absolutely. Yeah. It plays around that Breaker 1, which is massive. And like, in my head, I was like, this card's going to enable so much crazy degenerate stuff. And like, it seems a lot harder to implement that crazy degeneracy than previously before. Is that something you jammed in the deck immediately, or was that something you like discovered later on?
Immediately.
Yeah.
I knew that card was insane in this deck.
Yeah, that card's real good.
Because if I build 2 or 3 foundation and I say I go for the win, I'm fine. I'm chilling. And they don't know that, which is the best part.
Yeah, go for the win is actually ready, get, set, go, esque. Which is pretty funny.
Yeah, I'd say so.
I think it's very interesting the deck put together here. I'm looking at the list, and there's only two things that really stick out to me that make me kind of curious and make me like wonder where your head was at. Because like a one of villainous Entrance, I like that in this format. It's actually super funny against Momo, and there's actually like really interesting interaction for the Momo matchup, but specifically. You have one copy of League Invitation, and that's a card I've been insanely high on for set 4. I think it's maybe the best set 4 card. How did you feel about League Invitation and just running it as like a single 3 difficulty foundation? I
would bump it up immediately. Yeah. On their turn against Odro, I would just my opponent he didn't student the art first. Ooh. He did his stun 2, so I was like, he checked a 3 when I made him check 7. Like, you tap all 4 or you can commit the student of the art. So that card was insane.
Okay. How many would you play now? Would you play 2 or 3 or 4?
That's tough because I run 2 of the All Might Chibi promo. So
yeah.
Maybe replace some of those. I'm not sure.
Okay. And then the other card that threw me off just a little bit was Tutoring Kirishima. Is there like some secret spicy combo that I'm missing, or is it just like, you know, I
just love the card.
Huh?
I just love the card.
You just like the card? Okay, that's
yeah. Mostly because of the 3 damage, obviously. But
yeah, because Nitro Explosion Ignition can make any attack powerful, right? You can make any of these attacks in the deck powerful, and then you get to just flip for 3 damage, which you mentioned, you know, Ochako 2 has to pretty much get damage from her attacks in her stage. And I was looking at it, and in my head I'm thinking there's got to be like some kind of combo, there's going to be like some way to set it up to like flip a bunch of stuff. Why do you like Tutoring Kirishima so much?
Because of Stun Grenade, Turn to Dust, I could destroy it. Snack Time, I could discard it.
Okay.
Just mostly for the damage. I like being able to Nitro, give anything powerful, and then usually, especially on the Touch of Decay, I keep picking it up until they're stunned out, and then when they're finally ready, I just powerful it. Give it powerful.
I love that. Yeah, that combo, that's another one where like you have the one of Touch of Decay, and it's such a powerful combo with the Nitro Ignition. Lots of really cool little interactions. But what would you say is like the meat and bones of this deck, right? We said Stun Grenade, pretty much like the best attack, right? What do you think is like the meat and bones for this deck? Like, what are you trying to see in your opening hand or like your first attack turn besides like Stun Grenade?
Sure. So the meat, let's go Nitro.
Okay.
Stun Grenade and Turn to Dust. Those are the setups. That's what I want to see for. Those are the setup cards, so I can like grab off Stun Grenade to keep setting up my turn, stun him out, or throw a 7 high, which is just crazy. And so, and then the killers are the Cyclone, the Hulking, and I like Vile, but it's probably one of the weakest, I'd say.
It was interesting. The one time I got someone to build to Deadlock against me, they literally looked for Vile Seizings, and they saw 2 in my discard pile and went, oh, okay, well, you know, what's the likelihood you have another one? I'll just build to 11 and it'll be fine. And the funny part is, the turn before that, I built one and passed because I was waiting for them to go to Deadlock because I had Snack Time and Vile Seizing in my hand. I had 3 attacks and a Vile Seizing, right? But I'm looking at Momo with... At this point, someone was playing their own Momo deck, right? And it was like Rescue completed and 4 copies of Quick Creation and like all this other Deadlock stuff. And they have full 10 foundations with Precious Lessons. And I'm like, what's the likelihood they don't go to 11? And if I had played that turn correctly, if I had listened to you and played like exactly what you're talking about, I probably could have got there with the Deadlock in hands. But I played Hulking Grimace as my second attack and did not produce anywhere near as much as I wanted it to.
Yeah, Hulking, and then Vile Seizing. It's nice because it's like stun 2 or draw damage, and the stun 2 doesn't affect like because they have to check against 5. It doesn't trigger like it can't be fixed and things like that. So that was pretty cool. And then I throw it out when I know they can't block it, and then it's for 12 damage, and I draw 2 off it. So it's pretty. It got the damage to draw. The Breaker 1 is amazing too.
Yeah. Yeah, that's definitely a huge part of why this card gets played as much as it does, I think. Definitely that Breaker. What do you think, what would you say is the most important foundation in this deck?
Honestly, I'd probably have to say that's tough. I really do like that 3 diff.
All Might's Mentorship?
The other one.
Oh, League Invitation, yeah. When I played the deck, the thing that was surprisingly effective was Snack Time. Just like one Snack Time activation did so much. It was really crazy.
Yeah, one opponent, I saw 2 Snack Times, turn 1, and then I drew a Turn to Dust. So it was just stun 4.
Yeah, it's stun 4, and then you get a pretty good pick of the litter to destroy targets if you have something that you want to destroy. It's so funny to me how often Turn to Dust looks like a throw, because even if they block it, they probably lost 4 life, right? It probably looks like a 9 damage throw when your opponent can't afford to lose any resources permanently. Would you say that was something that helped you a lot in the matchup against Momo, or even just like on the weekend in general? Like, how bad were you pressuring people's staging areas?
So I played. There was the All Might 2, and he made top 16. Shout out to him. I played him in Swiss, like round 7, I believe. He won the die roll and went first twice against me, and I turned 2'd in both games because I used. So he's at 29 health. He built 3 foundation. So I played. Yeah, I know. I played Turn to Dust. I was like, all right, do you want to destroy 2 of those foundation with lose 2 and that? And he's like, no, I'll take 4. He couldn't block because he only had 3 foundation, and I used Turn to Dust. So then I hit him for 5. So I was like, all right, he's at 20 health now, and I have a Hulking in my. I was like, do I pick up this Turn to Dust, or do I say screw it and go for the Hulking, pick it up? And I checked, and it was over. Yep.
Oh man, not like this. I popped off really hard. I'm gonna watch it probably tomorrow on stream with the rest of the chat, because I usually like to go back and watch like at least parts of events after I do commentary, because it's a different world. Like, I'm looking at your whole stage, I'm looking at like every card in your hand, I'm like trying to pay attention to so many different things that like it's different than sitting back, relaxing, and like letting someone else tell you what's happening. But when you played that Hulking Grimace, I think it was Hulking Grimace to end game 1, right? Do you remember?
Yeah, I played Nitro, picked it up. Hulking Grimace, I checked. If I checked at 3, it would have failed.
Yeah.
I checked 5.
Yeah, when you hit the Hulking Grimace, I said you stole game 1 because you went second, you know? I lost my mind because it came out of nowhere. Like, I figured it's in the deck, but normally, a lot of times when you see Ochakos like stomping people, right, they're putting all their speed into a Hulking Grimace, and the rival can't pass it, and you pick it up and play it again. But how often would you say that you like play Hulking Grimace and respond with it, like respond with Ochako to play it a second time?
That happened very occasionally.
Yeah,
that was my favorite play, of course. But most of the time, it was hit them. They can't block anymore, and just throw out the Hulking. Or Cyclone or something.
That was kind of something I had to learn about the deck. That was because it was going to be my favorite play too, but people were like actually ready to block so much that it felt like once they let me hit them, once I could do the Ochako response, that meant I can hit them with the Hulking Grimace. But until I get to that point, right, like there's no reason to risk throwing my biggest damage, highest difficulty move. So it was very cool. It's very cool to like pick this deck up and kind of learn how to play it. learn how that matchup kind of goes. And I bet if I had played more Momo, it would have been a little bit easier for me to understand like how to navigate the matchup. You were the lower seed, so you went second. How much do you think that was affecting you, like mentally going into the matchup? Did you think that meant that you were like way far behind, that it was going to be a much harder matchup? Or like, how much does going first versus going second matter there?
Yeah, I should have lost, but I built 6, turn 1.
And never punished. Never got punished.
I checked a lot of 3s, but I had the attacks, and I built 6.
Right. Yeah, the build 6 going second, definitely a big deal. You pretty much know that Momo's never gonna turn to you. She'd have to draw multiple home run comments most likely to do it. How much did you go second throughout the whole event? Did you feel like you won a lot of dice rolls throughout Swiss?
I wouldn't say so. I think I won less than half the die rolls. I just kept seeing really good builds, and then they would brick, and they would see like get a 4 build, 3 build.
Yeah, you mentioned the All Might 2 with the 3 build there, which is incredibly unfortunate, but we take those. When it comes to going second, like how much did you win going second? Did you think? Because it sounds like you had to win at least one extra game going second more often than not.
It was pretty surprising, and I think most of my wins came off people just like disrespecting me. Like they didn't know what was coming, and they would just, yeah.
You're not Ojiro 2 or Jiro, like you're not one of the ones everyone talks about. I could see myself disrespecting it too, and I dare say I did disrespect the deck a little bit. You know, I did think that the matchup was, you know, nothing's impossible. Never said it was impossible, but I did definitely think that the matchup was very, very Momo favored, and I did not respect the level of stun that comes in the deck, and I definitely did not respect the card draw that comes from like latent skill, stun grenade, and howitzer impact cyclone. So I mean, even turn to dust and hulking grimace draws a card, so there's all kinds of extra card advantage stuff there. And then so it's not too surprising to me to hear that you felt that way about people disrespecting the deck.
Yeah, I think people just don't believe in 5-handers for some reason.
They usually have a tough world out there, especially with cards like Ready, Get, Set, Go. I think cards like Ready, Get, Set, Go makes it really unappealing. And typically a character like Eraserhead makes it really unappealing. But we've seen a recent surge of 5-handers come out because we've kind of debunked the myth that Eraserhead cripples 5-handers. It makes it really unpleasant when he wins, but he manages not to make it very far too often. And then on top of that, you need all this extra health to survive the Ojiro 2 format, right? You said you didn't want to get turn 2'd. Well, pretty much you're playing Nomu, Ochako, or Fourth Kind to survive that. Going forward after this ban list, though, do you plan to keep playing Ochako 2?
That's a good question right there. Part of me just wants to retire the deck, leave it there.
Yeah.
But I don't know. We'll see.
Okay. Do you have any current travel plans? Are there any events that you're planning to go to in the near future?
Yeah, I heard there was a regional coming up.
There should be the Kansas City regional, and then I think after that is the UK, the England regional.
Yeah, if it's possible and I can make it out there, that'd be cool.
Okay. Yeah, the Kansas regional I think is like less than a month away at this point. Probably not too much more than that. Are you a webcam player? We don't have as much webcam events this year, as many webcam events, but for any webcam regionals, are you planning to sign up for those?
Oh yeah, for sure. Especially if I had to play that would be sick.
Yeah, you get to flex on people a bit. Tell me about the champ vial seizing. Is that something you're planning to sleeve up in the Ochako deck, or is that going on a mantle plate? You're trying to put it up for auction? What's going on with that?
I might bring it to my locals just cause, but I'll probably get it graded.
Yeah, okay.
That's what I'm thinking, unless I get a good enough offer on it.
If you do get it graded, are you going to put it on a necklace and wear it around your neck like Logan Paul?
That's the plan. Bring it to an event like that.
I love that. I would love to see that. At one point, we actually had world champions would get like title belts, but they were kind of small. They were like little kitty-sized belts, and they didn't look the best, but it was still kind of hype. And I always liked the idea of like people being able to carry those trophies around, like wear them, and it's not like super cumbersome. But they didn't really take off too much. People would like wear them to the event, right? But then it would be like, all right, I'm tired of carrying around like this 10-pound trophy, like put it back in the room and stuff like that. But for a little champ card, I mean, like I said, like you just wear that around your neck, you can carry that around real easily.
That's probably my favorite prizing was in Omaha.
Yeah.
At Legendary, they had the All Might statue for first place. He had like the pedestals out in the block. Cool. That was cool.
So I believe Legendary Wolf is running the Kansas City regional, and so there is a chance that they do extra stuff like that again this year. So if that's what you're into, that might be the event to go to.
Yeah.
I don't know what they're doing this year, if they're doing anything super special, but you know, that is what they're known to do. You know, they hire the voice actors, they bring in bigger commentary. I think they were the first ones to have like a 3-person commentary team. They had like a players lounge one year, so they're always trying to do extra special stuff, and that's really, really cool. Let's talk about the future of My Hero a little bit. A lot of people have been, you know, upset with the power levels from set 1 through the rest of the sets. How do you feel that like affects the game? Are you someone who believes that set 1 is just kind of head and shoulders above the rest of the other sets? Does that bother you, or do you not care? Like, how do you feel about sets 2, 3, and 4, basically?
Yeah, it bothers me. I think there's a clear power gap. Like set 2, like I know the block modifiers are just horrible. Yes. Set 3, I mean set 3 has stun grenade and hulking. So set 3 gets passed. Set 4, I will say this: the card art has stepped up incredibly, but gameplay wise, I think I want to like this new set. I want to see like some broken cards that just change the game. But not too many. It's hard to say.
If they are set 1 power level, I would consider them broken cards, and I would welcome them. Does that make sense? Like, I would definitely be down for cards that are like as broken as Specialized Sound Waves at this point.
Yeah, I want to see Lemillion. I heard Lemillion won't be, because I heard Overhaul is going to be the better starter deck. So I'm really hoping Lemillion gets his shine.
Somebody got that insider scoop, huh? I never get like any of the spoilers. Like no one. I got like one thing revealed to me. I don't even remember what it was. You know, I had like one person be like, "Oh, I overheard this. Don't tell anyone," and I can't remember what it is. But it seems like almost everyone in the community like gets some kind of leak from someone who got product earlier, got like some kind of message. You know, like talking to some Jasco employee, they're like, "Hey, don't tell anyone," but. Do they leak the symbols? That's the only thing I really care about. I want to know what symbols the starters are.
Yeah, it could just be rumors, speculation. But
that's fair. I thought it was an interesting choice to make Lemillion the starter deck character, but he is like the popular new guy on the scene, and Overhaul is like his villain. Are you a big fan of the show?
Yes.
Are you a big Overhaul or Lemillion fan?
Yeah, they're cool.
So if either of them are like meta relevant, are those like characters we could expect you to see in the future, or And also, I want to ask, how much do you think that they'll put a 5 hand size character in a starter deck?
That's a good question. Have they ever? Not in My Hero.
Not that I know of. They have put 7-handers in starter decks before. I don't think they've done that in My Hero yet.
Yeah, possibly not, because for new players, 5-hander might be kind of tough.
Yeah, for new players too, when it comes to like 7-hand size versus 6-hand size, it can be very difficult to recognize like why that 8 health gap is there. So I kind of like them being 6 versus 6, like as an introductory product. That's fine. When it comes to the next set, though, are those the characters? Like, what characters are you most excited to see come out in future sets? I guess is a better question.
What are some? How about you? What are some questions you'd like to see? Because I'm at a blank right now.
For me personally, I'd want to see Hawks, just because I feel like he has a very interesting quirk. He has like you know, a fire quirk is like cool. You have fire moves, you know, but like his quirk has so many little things attached to it, and every time someone tells me about like what his feathers can do, it feels like they can do anything. You know, it's like he can like use them as walkie-talkies and like throw them, and like they can track people and he can GPS them. Like they do everything. It's insane. So
okay, I've got one. I'd want the Giga Giant.
Okay. Oh yeah, that'd be cool.
I don't know his
like
name.
Maybe
Get
like
a
a Mount Lady
4-hander.
rival. Maybe they do something similar to Mount Lady. That'd be kind of cool.
Destructo would be pretty cool too.
Yeah, I think it Gigantomachia.
Yeah, 4-hander.
He looks kind of like muscular, but he's also got like sharpness everywhere. He's like a cross between Kirishima and muscular, it looks like. That could be kind of cool. Let's see. Who else would be? I'm interested. I think Eri is the little girl with the horn. I think she's gonna. I never know how to pronounce any of the characters' names. I think she's gonna be an asset like Coda is. I don't think she'll be like her own character.
I'm hoping to get at least. Yeah, that'd be cool. Should have asset.
Yeah. I think it'd be cool that if instead of being an asset, she was like a character card, but she has like 1 hand size, 1 health. So you'd never play her as your starting character, but you could like put her in her deck and she does something when you block with her or play her or something. I think that'd be neat.
Oh yeah, I want to see how the Millions Master, what is his name? Nidai.
Okay.
I think he would be really interesting because he could see the future, so possibly like he could take a peek at the top 5, something like that.
Do some Super Giro bullshit.
Yeah.
Oh man, that would be pretty crazy. Yeah, I'm super excited for more stuff to come out. We need more sets to come out faster rather than later. At least that's how I feel. But the next product we're gonna get is the Class Reunion box. And there's been a lot of talk around the Class Reunion boxes. They're basically a whole bunch of mechanically unique promos, and people have pretty strong opinions about that. But have you seen the cards revealed? Have you seen all the new promos from the Class Reunion box?
Is that what the 7 diff?
Yeah, that's where the 7 diff comes from.
Yeah, the artwork, incredible.
Yeah.
I think there's a Moneta action, I believe, and that looks extremely powerful because it just resets at the end of the. I think like after when going into the block step, it just reduces the damage printed.
Okay. Yeah, it would be pretty funny to see someone play that. So, I'm excited for a lot of the cards in the Class Reunion box, but a lot of people their issues have been like tracking down those cards. Like how likely are you to collect a playset of everything, right? Is that something that you're worried about, like trying to get the specific promos that you want from it? Or is it something that, you know, you're just like, oh, I'll buy a couple and see what comes and trade around?
So what are these boxes like? How many cards do they come?
Yeah, so if you're not familiar with it, the way it's going to work is there is a roughly, we'll just say I'm just going to round up. There's a $60 box where you get dice and like tokens for things that are frozen, and like tokens for like what zone an attack is, tokens for like has been readied already. It has like little game piece tokens, and then a pack of 65 sleeves, and then which is exactly enough for like a 60. Like it's weird. It's a weird number, but you know it's exactly enough for like a Yu-Gi-Oh deck in sideboard, and then or extra deck, whatever. And so the promos that come with it are based on the size. So there's the big box with all that stuff, and then you get the guaranteed action card, the future is now, and then you get, I believe it's 6 of 10 randomly assorted promos. So there's 10 different promos, and you'll get 6 of them randomly distributed. And then there's a $25 box, I think it is, that just comes with promos. So you'll get like, I think it's 5 out of 10 promos. I forget the exact distribution numbers. I haven't paid attention to it too much because I don't know anyone who's really going to do anything other than try to buy singles from it. So, because the thing is like there's so many different promos and they do so much different stuff, and you're going to be getting like random ones from it. But they have revealed all the promos on the Discord. But it sounds like you're not, like this isn't something that people have been like hyping up for you a lot, right?
I'll probably just pick them up, like one of each, and then just buy the singles.
Yeah, that's what most people are going to do. They're probably going to buy the one to get the dice and everything. Then they'll get one of the smaller box to like get a good start, and then try to trade or buy singles for the rest of the promos. And some of them look like they'll be pretty impactful. Some of them not so much. You did mention the 7-diff. That one looks pretty hype, especially if you're a Midoriya fan. But it's been a pretty polarizing product, and it's going to be, I believe, the only product that we get before the Kansas City Regional. And so that's the thing. Like, it's going to be the only thing that really changes the format, unless they decide to do more bans, which they have no reason to do that. They said that they looked at the data, and they won't have more data. So, you know, it's pretty much the Clash Reunion box or bust as far as switching things up.
So does that come with the 3 difficulty action?
Yeah, so the 3 difficulty action is guaranteed in every product. You get 1 copy of that. If you buy 4 products, you'll get a playset guaranteed.
Cool. I'm definitely interested in that card. I want to see what it can do in Tokoyami.
Does it have a Tokoyami symbol?
Oh, does it?
I don't believe it does. It might. It should be good life. It should be Deku 1 symbol. Yeah, good life and order. Which, you know, means a lot of people are going to try to play good symbol Jiro now, but they can play their whole hand out and then just get a massive attack.
That in Jiro.
Yeah, it's going to be in Jiro, bro. I hate to say it. It's going to be play the features now, play my whole hand, get +2/+2 plus everything. It has order, so Genki can just play the futures now. Every non-orange card in my hand, Electric Jolt on a 4. It's a 5 mid for 6 Electric Jolt. Even if you block it, I get everything to momentum. So those are the 2 main offenders, but I imagine it won't really be like a super memed card because you can only do it once per turn, so you don't want to play a bunch of copies. But that is like the high roll that everyone is kind of expecting from that card.
Yeah, and you could possibly cancel it too.
With what? What would cancel it?
Showdown and Concentrate.
Oh, yeah. True. Showdown cancels actions and so does Concentrate. Yeah, that'd be cool to see. I would love to see that interaction. It's it's pretty tough, right? Because if they play it as their first form of the turn, and you cancel it with Showdown, you commit 2 foundations and it sits there, but like Zero still gets +1/+1 from it being there, and they just don't have to play their whole hand. So that'll be interesting.
Oh no, it's you can play once per turn. Gotcha.
Yeah, you can only play it once per turn, and that's not part of.
Well, is it considered playing it if it gets canceled?
Yes, because that's not part of the effect. That's like rules text attached to it. Like once per turn stuff is. It's hard to explain. I forget the exact definition, but like in the rules, it calls it out as like a modifier to how you can play it. Same thing with things that have like once per turn in the cost. If you pay the cost of a once per turn ability and it gets canceled, you still already played it this turn. It just had its abilities canceled. But it's still played.
Gotcha. Yeah, like if you nullify it. Gotcha.
Right. And that was a big thing because I actually had that wrong for years. I played the game for like 2 or 3 years where people would cancel my once per turn and I would just do it again. I did not know the difference, so... luckily it never came up like in a big tournament.
True.
But yeah, I'm so glad we had this talk because I think that a lot of people don't really understand, even if they watch the finals on stream, I just feel like they're not going to understand the matchup, right? And I didn't understand the matchup playing it. You know, it was easier to like watch it on camera, and I was still amazed. And so your insight from this interview, I hope really helps people, you know, who want to pick up this deck and play it, because I don't think they're going to hit anything from it. It's not been like a super problematic deck, which is what makes it even better that it managed to win rather than, you know, the stuff that people are upset about. But before we take it away, I want to give you an opportunity. Do you have any shout outs you want to give to anyone in the community, anybody you want to recognize or put a spotlight on?
Sure. So I did a bunch of shout outs in my initial interview, and I'd missed a couple of people. So I'll just do the people I missed. A couple of people from locals, Orion, Jordy. Orion, he stayed the whole top 16 day, even though he got knocked out as 16th, just for me to watch me play every single game. And he was always hyping me up, so that was pretty cool of him. Yeah. Let's shout out Red Mage Frank. He was my first opponent in top 16, and he let me borrow a couple cards to help me get this far. And then, because like we roomed together, and he helped me practice the Odro matchup that night of. I feel like I wouldn't be as prepared for it if it wasn't for him.
Okay.
And hopefully I didn't miss anyone. That's about it.
I you know, it's tough for me. I always miss my shout outs. I'm always afraid that there's someone out there that I need to, you know, to hit up, and I always forget. But my plug is unfunstuff.com, of course. I'm an Unfun Stuff sponsored player. You know, I got the logo on the stream there, so go check that out. Use my code plugin, all that good stuff. I got one last question for you, Cristos, before we take it away. Afterwards, there was an image, a photo of you posted of you with your head down after the finals. So I want to ask you, what was going through your head in that moment? Were you just exhausted? Like, what was going on as soon as the tournament was over? Because I love that photo. I think it's iconic.
I just had the Berserk theme, the Guts theme in my head. Like, I just went through a whole war. I was exhausted.
That's so fun.
I was just, the whole top 16 day, I was just ready for each match to be over so I can go home. Because I didn't get much sleep. And the first tournament was like 12 hours, 10 hours. The next one, I got there like 7:30. I didn't get out till like 6. And I got like 2 or 3 hours of sleep. So it was rough. But it was, I think I peaked. That was probably one of the best moments.
Don't say that. I don't think you've peaked yet. I think you're just getting started, because now you know what it takes to make it to the dance, and you've proven you've got the chops to take it all. So I wouldn't be surprised if people, you know, put a little bit of a target on your name. If they see your name on the matchup sheet, and all of a sudden it's like, okay, I gotta get serious here, you know, gotta roll in against the Panos brothers. Like, you know,
people won't. They're not gonna. They're gonna start respecting me, and that's gonna be difficult. Instead of, because Odro, I would go first. He would build like 5 foundation, and I'd be like, so you have 2 cards in hand and you can't draw. Like, when it was just over.
Yeah. Absolutely. Well, man, it's been an absolute blast. I've had a ton of fun. If there's any one last thing, if there's anything we skipped over, anything else you want to say, please do so now. But I think we're gonna call it a wrap here.
I'll just give one last shout out. I forgot, to my One Piece group.
Awesome.
Y'all are some real ones.
Awesome. Well, you love to hear it. Well, thank you guys for checking out this podcast. If you're watching on YouTube, please like, share, subscribe. If you see Cristos, say hi to him if you see him at an event, because very cool people, very glad to have them in the community. So congratulations once again on an absolutely epic run. Hope to see you at future events, bud. And yeah, that's it for us. Till next time, everybody. Peace out.